I think I might have accidentally been my own ghost 17 years ago by Weekend Bitter 9941. Okay, buckle up, because this is equal parts creepy and equal parts ridiculous. Back in college, my classmates and I had an overnight group session at one of our friends' houses to finish a case study for a presentation. It was past midnight, everyone else was in the dining area, and I was alone in the bedroom typing away on my laptop. Suddenly, from my peripheral vision, I saw something. Not just a shadow, an entity. Think Sadako vibes. Long hair covering the face. But here's the weird detail. The hair wasn't jet black like a horror movies. It was dry, frizzy, this brown, copperish color. Exactly like over-processed, damaged hair you'd see too many bleach sessions. I could still picture it clearly. Split ends, fried texture, the works. She was behind me, slightly leaning like she was looking over my shoulder at the screen. But I couldn't see her face, just the hair. And it lasted maybe a second. Blink, and she was gone. I froze. Then I bolted straight to the dining area, shaking, and told my classmates I saw something. Instant creepy overnight story for the night. And then life moved on. I forgot about it until today. Fast forward 17 or 18 years later, I'm brushing my ash blonde hair, getting ready to go to my favorite salon for a treatment because my hair is dry AF after a recent touch-up. I'm looking in the mirror, inspecting the damage, when it hits me like a horror plot twist. WTF? Was it me? Like, did I time travel? Was that ghost actually future me, fried hair and all, looking over my own work on that laptop? Was I just critiquing myself from the future? The hair color matches, the frizz matches. The only thing is the missing ability to astral project again, which I could do back then, but that's another story. So yeah, either I saw a ghost or I am destined to become one for split second 17 years in the past. Guess I'll find out once I learn time travel or remote view, or maybe just invest in a better conditioner. In the comments, Expensive Falcon 4186 says, I have a story like this. I was at a low point, just had a baby in a yucky marriage, not feeling great about myself, and weighing an extra 30 pounds. I'm on a trail running that I've run hundreds of times, totally in my head, sorting life out and putting my miles in, verging on tears. As a runner, you can gauge how bad you're out of shape by how regular routes feel. I round a corner to go up a steep hill, and a woman is paused there, looking out over the lake. I'm out of breath and groan a bit about the hill. She smiles and looks at me. I say, oof, this hill always gets me. Barely looking at her, and she says, oh, don't worry, you got it. So assuredly, a smile in her voice. The other day I caught a glimpse of myself heading out on a run, and you know what? I recognized that woman. Same hat and shorts I didn't own at the time. Same strong legs and the summer tan. Me from a better place. And 6 years later. Let's see, we've got ChubbyMermaidFL. And they write in, I had a similar experience that I shared on here a year or two ago. So, was I the ghost? When I was growing up, we would go and visit my grandmother on the east coast of Florida about once a month or so. So, I was just as comfortable in her little town as I was my own. Even at the age of 10, I knew all the back roads and shortcuts and scenic drives. One afternoon, me and my mother and I were in the car, and we're taking a leisurely ride when she took me farther down a road than I had ever recalled being on. She then took a left and got on a road that ran through the salt marsh. As we are going along, she is sharing stories about the swamp ape and other local legends. When I look up and say, "Oh, I know where we are. I recognize this area. I came down here with Grandma once," my mother was confused because my grandmother had not driven in years. She didn't even own a car. I proceed to tell her about coming up here and describe a big Victorian house on the corner overlooking the marsh. As we approached the curve, I said, "Here, it's right up there." My mother pulled over, and there was no house on the hill, as I had remembered it. "Where is the house?" I asked. You could clearly see that at one point there had been a homestead there. There were remnants of a stone walkway and a retaining wall, and the way the trees were spaced and the ground leveled out. I went on to describe the 2-story house in full detail, from the gingerbread wood carving on the porch swing. My mother kept asking me questions, and I kept answering them. I told her that I had come with Grandma to visit a friend who was ill, and she had brought food for the family, and that I remembered playing with a little girl on the front porch and swinging in the swing with her. It was then that my mother told me that the house that used to be there had burned down in the late 1940s. Oh, wait, what? Record scratch. The 1940s? And that, yes, the lady who had lived there had been a friend of my grandmother's, and that she, my mom, had a very distant memory of visiting there with their mother. The lady had been ill and bringing food. She then said, "I always wondered who the little blonde girl was that I played with on the porch that day. I asked Mama on the way home if she would bring me back to play with the little girl, and she was perplexed because there were no young children at the home at that time." Instantly, we were both covered in goosebumps when we realized that approximately 20 years before I was born, I played on a wraparound porch with my own mother. Wow, we've got even more. From Crafty Shape 2743. I was in a bad marriage. Didn't see any way out. Was considering offing myself. Husband left for several months on a work trip. At the time, I was 40 pounds overweight with a short, unattractive haircut and severe depression. One morning, I was in bed when I heard a knock at the front door. I got up to answer it. Standing at the door, there was a woman, a little older than me, long hair, thin and vibrant. I asked what she wanted. She looked at me and then just disappeared. I chalked it up to a hallucination. Depression, hallucination. But 6 years later, having left my husband, a photograph was taken of me. It was only then that I realized the woman at the door that morning was me. Was it a hallucination, or was it myself coming to show me that I had a future? I'll never know for sure, but I'm thankful I chose to leave and live a different life. Beautiful. Let's see. From King Moon Racer 20, we was intrigued by the title because it reminded me of an interesting theory that some ghosts are timelines overlapping, like taping over a videotape. Every once in a while, under the right circumstances, you can see a previously recorded video. I think there's something to it. Kinda like the guy whose hand was stuck under a boulder and he had a vision of his future son. If he didn't cut his hand off and survive, then his future son would cease to exist. So he found the will to free himself and get back on track to the timeline. Interesting take. And this person, sneekysmiles, says, "Watch The Haunting of Hill House. This concept gets played out in an interesting way." And we've got Mystery of the Fiery Eye. Kind of a similar story, but much more of a letdown. I once saw an old man walking. I no longer remember where, but I've always pretended it was me in the far future. He was happy, old, single, presumably, in a cool hat and nice clothes. The thing is, he was healthy and had no health issues. So now I know it wasn't me, LMAO. He didn't look at me or anything. I just wanted something to grab onto me from the future. To know I had made it that far. Heartbreaking. That's the end of the comments. And if I put my 2 cents in here, these beautiful experiences that people have, there is the belief that everything is happening everywhere, all at once. But it is fascinating to think that you could run into yourself. I do believe in the many worlds, that with every choice another world splits off. But I feel like I do believe that all those timelines are happening all at once. And that's where the glitches happen. Oh, so many infinite timelines with just slight variations. How can they not overlap every now and then? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the stories. Below, I will try to put all the information of the writers in here and where you can find these real ghost stories. Till next time, bye.